Hey math kids, now we're going to use the theorems that we looked at in the previous video. So if we start with a circle, that's a bad circle, but whatever. We have a circle, we draw some radii, and then there's some other point on the circle, and we do this, and let's say we have 70 degrees right here. The theorem says that the other angle right here is going to be half of the original angle, and so this one is going to be 35 degrees. So you'll have a problem like that on your homework. Same situation, but maybe you're given, wait, that's not right. It has to come from the same point, like this. Okay, now what if we're given the other angle? So what if this one is 40? This one's going to be twice as large, so this one's going to be 80. Cool? All right. Now, moving on to the next type of problem, we have, this time we have a diameter. And remember, this really is just an extension of the previous theorem that we used. So we're given that this is called C, this is called B, this is A, we'll call that D. And it's told to us that CD equals BD. So CD equals, CD equals BC, which equals 10. So CD, so just from here to here is 10, and also from here to here is 10. Now because this is a radius, we also know that this is 10, and they want us to find the length of AB. So we know that this is a right triangle because this is a diameter. The measure here would be 180 degrees. This is half of that, so it's 90 degrees. Okay, or we can just remember the theorem. Now we can pull this out if we want to, and just think of it. So we got to write, this is 20, this is 10, and we're trying to find x. So if we do that, we can just use the Pythagorean theorem. We can say a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The important one being, this is my c. So I'm just going to say x squared plus 10 squared equals 20 squared, which gives me x squared plus 100 equals 400. Subtract 100. X squared equals 300. And so we can just square root both sides and say x is the square root of 300. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Technically, we could simplify that or put that into a calculator, but I'm more concerned with you just getting to the end of the algebra. Okay. Now, you have another problem using the same theorem. So once again, it's defined as a diameter. We'll call it B, A, D, and the center C. This is given as 20 degrees, and then AC is also drawn in. And it says, given circle C with inscribed triangle ABD, what is the measure of angle ABC? So ABC. So this is what we want to know. So I'll mark that with theta. And this one's pretty straightforward actually. Because of the theorem, this is 180 degrees. We know that this is 90 degrees. And just any triangle needs to add up to 180 degrees. And so if we say 180 minus 20 minus 90. So that's going to get us to 90, so that's going to be 70. And so that's what's left over. And so theta is equal to 70 degrees. Okay. Now, let's do another one. So now we have that situation. If you watched the other video, this one is quite the setup. Okay. So these are tangent. I know they don't really look like it. And we're going to call this O. Actually, we don't really care what anything is. This one's 100, and we want to know what this is. The theorem says that these are supplementary, so they need to add up to 180. And so in this case, x is going to be, not 180, x is going to be 80. Okay, that's it on that one. And then the last one is just this situation. I'm not going to like necessarily, well, let's see. Let's say this is x, this is y, this is 30, this is 40. The theorem says that these two angles are congruent, and then these two angles are congruent. So x is going to be 40, and y is going to be 30. Now the one on your homework is a little bit different. It just wants you to state all the angles that are congruent to each other. And so some other things to consider. Right here makes an x, so those are vertical angles. So for example, this angle is congruent to this angle is congruent to this angle, these ones are congruent to each other, these ones are congruent to each other. And so, you know, just kind of play around with that. If you want to, you can try to talk about these angles. There is like a tangent line right here, and just write your thoughts on that on your homework. Okay. And then the last thing is if we have a quadrilateral inscribed like that. The opposite angles are supplementary in this case. And so if this is, let's see, that's definitely not 20. Let's say that one's 20, and this one's 30. And then this is x, this is y. The ones that are opposite each other need to add up to 180. So x must be 150, and y, let's see, 180 must be 160. Okay, if you need additional help, please come to Math Lab. Until then, calculator.